Hello, THL. Happy Friday night. Welcome to the March Madness / April Absurdity bracket and participant reveal. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, we have the entire bracketologist squad with me. I am Donde, and joining me tonight is BOOZASAURUS. Booz, how you doing? He's he's here. He's moving.
He's
Wait,
speechless.
no, I
He's
am here and I
oh.
just said, what's up?
I welcome you to the show.
Oh, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you here.
Speechless. Amazing.
Thank you, CMAC, for the happy birthday wishes.
Yes, happy birthday to you as well. Markshire, a veteran of Donde-led shows. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you. Yeah, good to be here.
Mayanadon, we've been on a few shows together now.
We did a couple. Yeah, not too bad.
All right, that's good. That's good. And Mocha, now how are you adjusting to life in a two-board world?
Yeah, it's TwoStarMako now.
Two-board Mako. He's gonna change his Twitter handle as well to get the full effect.
I've infiltrated the board of a League of Legends league now, so I'm just taking over the administration of anything that I can find.
So we need to find you more esports league
Yes.
series format things, right?
Yep. Burn it down from the inside.
Thanks everybody for the appreciation of my outfit today.
It's beautiful.
From suit to hoodie.
It is a very good outfit.
You know, I went last stream I was on. I was wearing a suit, so this time around I figured I'd go a little bit more laid back. It's not my show. I can chill out and watch. Hang out.
Is Booz's dog wearing a jersey?
Yeah,
Yes.
what's
Oh,
going on
yeah.
right now? I need to
Looks
know.
like it.
She is. She's wearing a Tampa Bay Lightning jersey.
Oh,
Whoa.
okay.
I don't know. My family likes to dress her up. It makes no sense to me.
All right. Yeah, I
But
mean,
it is what it is.
whatever makes you happy or your family happy, that's fine.
Well, yeah, I was like, it doesn't make me necessarily happy, but she likes it. They like it, so.
That's what's important. All right. So, to what we are doing tonight. Obviously, we have been discussing this passionately over the past week and a half now that the seasons have concluded for THL, and trying to come up with not only the 64 total players who will be participating in the tournament, but also the seeding for this tournament. So it was a big process that was a lot of back and forth. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I wanted to talk about a little bit about how we arrived at what we did, because we're going to go ahead and reveal the participants first. But as you guys all know, there were some automatic invites to this tournament, and those were anybody who won a championship this season, anybody who won a Big Game Hunter award, anybody who was an All-Star or an All-Pro, and anybody who appeared on stream the most. So the top 8 stream appear by appearances. I almost said appearers, which is absolutely not a word. I caught myself before saying it and then was able to say it somewhat ironically. That's okay. So those came out to 42 players, because some people, of course, were champions and also all-stars or all-pros, etc. So 42 individual unique players made it via that way, and I think a lot of people already figured those out or just know by watching THL stuff. So what we're going to do is reveal those, and then we're going to reveal the 22 that we selected. And, we had a lot of debates internally about exactly how we went about picking this, so I'm just going to kind of send it around the horn here and just give a little bit of idea of where your mindset was at. I'll start with you, Mayanadon. What were you thinking when you were trying to look at what you thought were the most deserving people to be included in the bracket?
Wow. Yeah, I get to go first. Okay.
You sure do, man. When you wear that hoodie, that commands respect in the form of leading the way.
I really appreciated all the self-appointed power that we got to choose the 22 individuals that were going to join the bracket. So I really took that upon myself. I said, you've given me all this power, so I'm going to abuse it as much as I can.
Oh, you sure did.
No, but seriously, we did try to make it as fair as possible. It's based off of, performance this season. While we did kind of look at seeding and things like that and compared performance in different series, we did try to take it pretty seriously and make sure, we were getting the players that did the best this season in the tournament.
Absolutely. Mako, what was the biggest thing to you when trying to figure out who to include here?
Yeah, we really went as like solely off of this past season's performance. I know there was some internal discussion about about seasons prior to this season and like just general player ability, but we definitely stuck to our guts from the original posting about making it solely based on this past season. So we had this giant ass spreadsheet that
It was
gave me
huge.
headaches when I looked at it, and it yeah, I know it drove me insane to look at, but there's so many statistics on it, and we I feel like we ended up coming into consensus on the last 22, which was it was good, it was nice. um but yeah, I mean, it was all statistics based. We kept all personal bias out, um because there are five of us, so I mean, I tried to put Donde at 64, but they wouldn't let me.
I can confirm he tried to do this. This is true.
I did my best.
The I think, and you touched on a really important point, is we kept it as stat based as possible to take any subjectivity that we could out of it. But of course, the way you look at those stats, it's going to be different from everybody. Some people might naturally value game wins more than match wins, etc. So that's why we wanted to have multiple people actually taking a look at the stats, as we got 5 of us, of course, because you kind of get an idea for, is your the way you're viewing it, through the lens you're viewing it, is it consistent with what everybody else thinks, and that kind of gets you into a spot where you can bounce ideas off each other and reality check each other a little bit. Markshire, what about you as far as the process was concerned? How did you feel about how everything kind of ended up?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like pretty similar things to what Mako and Mayanadon have been saying, but very stats based. I think if people saw the spreadsheet that Hat posted in the Discord, I think that was earlier today or yesterday, that might give you a sense of the amount of data we have to work with. There's just so many metrics that you could have taken. We had like average PPR, net matches, net games. You can look at the aggregate matches. You could look at PPR just for, specific series. So there was a ton, but overall, just for choosing the 22 players, I think it was, like Mako said, we pretty much came to a consensus, using a data-based approach. I would say I tried to lean on the side of rewarding people who did really well in one series rather than maybe someone who went like, had like about an average record, but maybe they played in like two or three series. But I felt if someone did, pretty well in one series, that would give them a bump. But overall, everyone who got in there was really.
Yeah, and I think that's again another interesting point, because for me, I valued a lot of not necessarily didn't want people to just be doing average across the series, but when you play in multiple series, 2 or even 3 series at a time, it is a lot. It's a lot of prep. It's a lot of work that goes into it, and being able to go positive in any series is impressive. And if you can do it in multiple series, even if it's just like one game over 500, I find that to be impressive, because a lot of the time it's pretty tough competition at all seeds in THL now. Even 4 and 5 seeds in like Legacy and Hero are not like cakewalks or anything. You get like the Bill Snyders of the world sitting there in the 4 seed just whomping people. So if you get wins against guys like him, it's impressive. Booz, you are the final one to speak here. Any thoughts? Any differing thoughts as far as your approach to how we handle this?
So it was definitely, as everyone has previously stated, it was definitely very stat based. It was just kind of narrowing it down to those last 22 that ended up being invited was honestly just such a hard task to kind of pick out, because there were so many players who were just barely on the cusp, so many players who just barely made it in, and so many players on top of that who were just so close in all of our minds. It ended up being where, as a lot of people know, we just finished the bracket today, and we've been discussing this since God knows how long. Basically, since it was finalized, once Pro was over.
Yeah,
So with
since
that being
Booz
said,
was a year younger.
yes, since I was a year younger. Um, so with that being said, it was definitely a lot of talk, a lot of just discussions in general. As Donde mentioned, we have the 5 people that kind of cover everyone's differing opinions, and that kind of allowed for us to get a unanimous kind of top 64.
And there were differing of opinions. Let me tell you, we had some intense
There was
discussion
some.
during some calls.
Yes.
But all right, so before everyone's waiting for the participants, I get that. Before we move in, just a quick reminder. So this is a single elimination tournament, 64 players. It is so you one and done. It happens. I know that's March Madness for you. It's best of 5, so essentially it's going to mirror how Pro Series worked in terms of best of 5 revealed deck lists with a ban. Everything's going to be run through Battlefy, so you just are going to submit your list there once we get that up and running, and essentially the tournament should kind of run itself with us just reporting on the results and streaming what we can, but it shouldn't necessarily need to have too much too much adjudication, which is kind of nice because that just allows people to play as their matches come available. So if there are any questions about that, you're certainly welcome to bring them up. The board will be available for disputes, match disputes, things like that. Hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. But that said, why don't we reveal some participants? But before we reveal some participants, I do want to thank everybody for being here and remind you that you can subscribe with Twitch Prime for free, and it allows us to give bigger prize pools to events like this one. I know we tout it all season long that it helps us, and this is actually the fruits of the labor for our streaming. This is how we get these prize pools to you guys and girls for free. So please consider subscribing and following if you like us. All right. I've delayed enough.
I've segue. I'm taking notes for.
You're taking.
For segue.
Nice,
say
nice.
You're about to say something really cool, and then go into the commercial.
It's the carrot. We're dangling the carrot, man.
Yeah. No, I got you. So.
All right. So let's start with the first half of the automatic 42. So all the players here on screen, you will see. This is in alphabetical order, and these are all players that qualified via some, one of those prereqs that we talked about and where they came from. So you can see Agent PWE and Fallen Bill Snyder, all All-Stars, Bitbeaker, 1 BGH, Blue Spire. I'm not going to read this whole thing. That's crazy. You guys have eyes and you can read it, but a couple people, as you can see, Desharmo and Hockey Boys were greedy. Itachi was greedy, taking a few different spots at once, so they didn't need to do that. But they're, they just wanted to flex on everybody. So none of these, I don't think, like we said, BGH was announced, so everybody knows, Bitbeaker was in via that, and all pro teams, all-star teams. So the streamers were not necessarily announced, but I think Rabobson went through and figured out how many times people appeared on stream because he literally nailed the exact amount of people that were in automatic invite. So the max on stream matches, I'd have to go back and look at it, but I think. I want to say I want to say the highest that made it was 7, but Ron Mexico might have had 9, and he was automatically in, which you'll see in a second, multiple ways as well. But I can go back and look at that for you. The minimum to make it in via stream was 3. So if you appeared 3 times on stream, you made it. So.
Yeah. So let that be a lesson to you. Show up on stream. 3 times. That's all you needed.
Am I spoiling by telling you Ron Mexico is in this tournament?
The biggest spoiler of them all.
The biggest spoiler of the night. If that's the biggest spoiler of the night, I'm doing pretty good. Here's the second half of the automatic list. So we can see, so the streamers now in full here: Dragon Rider, Electabuzz, myself as well. It's me, Mike V, Lefty, Markshire, Matty Ebbs, Skittles, Typhoon. So those were all the streamers that were not fitting into any of the other categories. So congrats to, and Yellow Dart is the greediest of all because he took 3 spots away. He won 2 All-Star spots and he won a championship.
Wow.
Actually, technically he won 2. He won 2 championships, so technically he took 4 spots.
No, he just won just the one. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. No, he only won 1.
Yeah,
one in a final. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Almost.
Oh man, so many things happened. I forgot. He's still greedy, and
wow, can't believe that. Just so selfish.
It's selfish.
Man.
Ron saved me a spot with that All-Star. Nerf Yellow. Yes, we should nerf. No, well, we don't need to nerf Yellow Dart because his favorite card got axed. Yeah. So
Blizzard already nerfed Yellow Dart.
We've got something for him later, so don't worry about him. He'll be fine.
Also, Itachi did win 2 championships.
He sure did.
2 championships and 1 All-Star. He also took away 3 spots.
Also very greedy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So congratulations. These are, like I said, these are the 42 that were automatic bids that we did not have to do any sort of debate on. So we didn't talk about any of these players during the lead up phase. It's the next 22 that we did have to do a lot of discussion on. So why don't we reveal the remaining 22 players who will be rounding out the top 64? We don't have any cool like stuff next to their names because they were just kind of, hey, we invite you to show up. I should also mention we are not doing any sort of replacements, so there's no like alternates or anything like going into this bracket. If this person cannot make it, they just are going to lose in the first round. It would get far too messy to reseed the bracket over and over again, so we're just going to roll with these 64, and that is it. Here we go. The remaining 22.
Drumroll.
Some of these players will be unsurprising, such as at the top, obviously, is obviously a great player and had fantastic seasons, just didn't fit into any of the other molds. Somehow, no All-Star appearances or anything. I don't understand how that worked. But here is the remaining 22. So Avi, Based, BOOZASAURUS, Brick, Catman, Kurafinwi, Dabs, Disco, Ego Waffle, Ghost, Inzi, Lesmos, Lotus Knight, Medusas, Nine Eyebrows, Osmonaut, Sanguine, Trippy Toad, Triss, TwoStarMako, Valdis, and Zoroshio. Of course, in alphabetical order and not in any order pertaining to how well you played this season. So congratulations to the 64 in the series, or 64 players in the in March Madness here. So I've been talking for a while. I'm gonna throw it over to you, Booze. How do you feel about the 64? Do you think we did a good job, or did we,
I think we personally did a good job. Just based on as I said earlier, the sheer amount of discussion we had. There were so many players who were just like barely right on the cusp. It ended up being just like super tight to decide that final 64. So I think we
Yeah.
got it correct. Obviously, there are some players who may feel a little bit scuffed. Some players who feel that they may just like have barely missed out. But with that being said, I still think we got it as correct as we could have.
Yeah, I would say there was at least like an additional 10 to 12 players that we probably had at least discussed, if not briefly, in much more in depth, just to find out where that dividing line was at 64. So there were, beyond this, there were plenty of players that were right on the borderline of being deserving. Anybody else, Markshire, any other thoughts on this before we go to the bracket?
Yeah, I mean, when we initially came up with our like own 22 rankings, there was like there were some of these like obviously trying to think who else. I feel like Ego Waffle was probably in like almost everyone's too. There were and Lotus Knight. There were, some players that just everyone immediately picked, but there was a solid amount towards the bottom where there were like only two people, only three. And that's when it got a lot tougher. So it's
Yeah.
definitely really tough. And especially when you're looking at stats across all three series, it's like, okay, like how do we value someone? Maybe this person had like one more match win, but we thought that their strength of schedule was worse, or like they had like a lot more game wins, but they actually had one less match win than someone else. So there's just like there's so many variables. It was super tough, but I do overall feel good about the 22.
Yeah, the way we kind of decided on this was, we all went our separate ways on the 22 journey reference, and we came back with a list of the 22 players in no particular order. And if that player appeared on all 5 of our lists, you were in. We didn't need to discuss it further. We were already all in agreement, and I think we got about 11 or 12 out of our 22, and then that last 10 was where it started to differ pretty greatly, with some being, like you said, as many as 4 lists, and some being only 1 list or even 2 lists. And those were the players that were kind of the first ones to be trimmed, just because there were arguments to be had, but if 4 or 3 people weren't even seeing it, it probably wasn't going to knock somebody out who we had agreed, at least 4 of us had agreed, deserved.
Yeah, I think it was actually like perfectly 22 that we needed actually when we ended up doing all of our 22 lists. I remember that we let everyone that was on everyone's list in, and then we looked at it, and the remaining ones that were on 4 and 3 of our lists, the majority, ended up being exactly 22.
Yeah, I think we had a discussion about like the last 2 people was like the
Yeah.
the cutoff where we had to like, okay, we need to talk about these 2, and that was it. But yeah, I think you're right in general.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because we all made our individual last 22, and almost I would say what, like 2/3 of our 22 were the same.
Very
for
close to very
Yes,
close to that.
very close.
Consensus wise, and then it came down to that very last third, and we basically had to go with we basically decided on going with the people that had like 3 out of 4 votes or whatever it was, because there wasn't a consensus for that bottom that last third people that were picked. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, overall, I was happy with the methodology we used, and the results are I think the best that they could possibly be to take as much subjectivity out of it as possible. And yeah, I think and Base said it, this tournament's gonna ball. It is. It's like even in the lower seeds, some of these matchups are insane, which we're going to see very shortly here. Some even these first round matchups, we're looking at players in like the 12, 13, 14 seeds that are just like, these can knock anyone out of this tournament. But y'all are going to see that in a second. So, so we talked about the participants. And now it's time to reveal the bracket. So we're going to do this. If anybody has ever, you've watched March Madness, you've been a fan of the style that they do it in, you'll know that it's broken down into effectively 4 regions. Usually they have lame names like East, West, etc., Central. So ours are going to be a throwback a little bit to our history, THL history. So we've got we're going to start with the Ragnaros division. The Ragnaros region, I should say. Sorry. So let's go ahead and pull up the first 16 players, first 8 matches.
I'm just gonna take credit for the names of these divisions.
Sure, you absolutely can.
Please, yeah.
In fairness, well, I'll explain that when we get to it. It's not important yet.
Division 4.
Yes, Division 4 has a very important thing that we will,
Yes.
but we were all kind of like, we all had the thought simultaneously a little bit, and but
Oh yeah.
But
What
Mako
is
was the
it
first one to
gonna be
verbalize it.
Oh, it's so good.
So here's your Ragnaros region. Starting with the 1 seed, who was the overall 1 seed of the entire tournament. Not shocking, DeSharmo. He's the crossover player of the season. So your 116 there is going to be DeSharmo versus Lefty. The 8-9 is Blue Spartan versus Starlax, which is an insane matchup. 5-12 is Heat Shock versus Rage Doppel. Mayanadon, you got Ghost in the first round. You were a 4 seed, Ghost to 13. Snake versus Anfall, 3 versus 14. CMAC is a 6 seed taking on Trippy Toad in the 11. Agent PWE is a 7 taking on 9 Eyebrows in the 10, and Itachi and Markshire get to renew their rivalry, which I know Markshire had some choice words about. So why don't we start there, Markshire? What are your thoughts about playing Itachi?
So, like, when we made this bracket, at least for me personally, and I'm assuming this was probably true for y'all, like, I didn't look at, oh, we should change this person up because they'll be matched up against this person. Like, I didn't want to. I thought that might bring bias, so I just
Absolutely.
looked at straight up, who do I think can I rank from 1 through 64. So I had no idea that I would be playing Itachi before Donde made this bracket, and it kind of would be nice to have gotten a matchup that wasn't just who I played in the finals. But then again, being a 15 seed, I'm going to go against a great player no matter what. Why not? Why not?
Well,
take
this
a
gives you
chance to,
instant
play
redemption
some of that?
opportunity.
It
You have a
does.
chance to immediately make up for
Wow.
what happened in the finals and losing the match for Aeon.
I can, yeah. Losing. I mean, there.
You're talking to
Yeah.
Markshire, you're not talking to our hat.
I'm just kidding. Oh no,
I was.
he can't even
there,
escape
but,
it in the March Madness reveal stream.
No, I'm not letting him live that down. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think like when I'm looking at this here, I think the Agent PWE and Nine Eyebrows matchup is going to be huge. Nine Eyebrows was someone that I know we talked about a lot, and it's interesting because he went I think 7-4 in pro, really good season there, but then like 2-7 and it's just tough. Like he obviously played against a bunch of good competition in pro, and 7-4 is really impressive, but at least for me personally, like just going 2-7 in one series, even though yes, it is difficult juggling multiple series at once. That ended up dropping him down a little bit, even though he's a very strong player. So that's one where I can definitely see a potential upset here, but a lot of good.
Yeah, there's a ton of potential upsets in this bracket. I don't think there's anybody who's entirely safe in the first round. Desharmo sitting there in chat saying, "Yeah, Lefty can beat me." I know Lefty can beat anyone in this in THL. That's totally reasonable to expect. I mean, just based on the numbers, like it looks like we're looking at a Desharmo Blue Spartan matchup in round 2 there, which I think is massive. But yeah, this is a tough region here. Mayanadon, you're a member of this region. What are your thoughts here in our Ragnaros region?
Yeah, well, the number 1 seed Desharmo notoriously loses to a lot of players on this list. So
Oof.
he's he's got a really good shot. He had a great season, but I think if there's going to be a like division that has an upset, I think this one is definitely one that's a good contender for that.
And just to touch on what Liquid Ox is saying, this is not the top 16 players in the bracket. It's 16 seeds for every division. So there'll be a 1 seed in every division, a 2 seed, etc. So effectively, the top 4 seeds are the 1 seeds. So what you're seeing here is like the 1 seed, the 5 seed, or the 8 seed, etc. It leapfrogs back and forth like a snake draft kind of thing. So this is not this is not 1 through 16. This is 4 different sets. So when we numbered everybody 1 through 64, effectively if you were 1, 2, 3, 4, you're a 1 seed, 5 through 8, 2 seed, etc. all the way down. So
they'll get it when you pull up the next one, and there's
Yeah.
another one right there.
Yes, it will be very obvious when you see who the number 1 seed is in the next one, what we're doing. Anybody, any other thoughts before we move on here? Booze, I know we haven't gotten to you yet, so if you've got anything.
Are there any
Yeah,
key matchups or key upsets you think could happen here in the first division?
I mean, I don't want to give away too much bracket information, but sure, let's go for it.
Because we are gonna have brackets filled out.
The bracket challenge?
Yeah. I mean, man, if you're gonna host a bracket reveal show,
Oh, I know, I'm just messing.
You gotta let that slide. I think the most possible upset for me might be the Nine Eyebrows Agent PWE matchup, and I know a 10 versus 7 seed isn't like that big of an upset, but I think a lot of the other ones are going to be pretty tough to call. I would love to see the Lefty over to Sharmo round 1.
Oh.
It would be
I would kill for
crazy
that.
to watch.
Yeah, Booze, what's your upset alert here?
I don't know. It's tough. I want to call out because I have an IRL bro versus an internet bro in this bracket in Ghost versus Mayanadon. So I want to call that one, but I also don't want to call that one. So it's just really tough. I think, I don't know. I'm gonna probably have to say maybe. Fuck, this is tough. Maybe Rage Doppel over Heat Shock. I don't know.
Ooh,
Just,
that's
all
a
the
spicy
brackets
one.
In general, all the brackets in general are pretty close, and as everyone knows, it's Hearthstone. Anything can happen.
Sure can.
Yeah,
My pick is Trippy Toad here. No offense to C-Mac. Trippy only played in Hero, and he is really good. So I don't know what his chops look like in Conquest, but I know he came from a Conquest background and didn't have any experience at LHS and knocked it out of the park in his first season. So I would expect that to be a very, very tight match there.
Yeah, I think you stole my answer. I was between that one and the Nine Eyebrows Agent PWE one. I think because that one's a little bit bigger of a gap, I'm going to go there as my upset.
All right. I think that's everybody got enough upset there. Or Mako, did you pick one yet?
I was the first one. That was the one who brought up the idea.
You are the one who. Okay, so let's. All right. So
backup upset is Ghost beating me, so I can have a small victory if I lose.
Yeah, the victory will be that you can stop playing in the tournament and help me cast matches.
Exactly.
This is gonna get posted after the show, correct?
Oh, the whole bracket? Yeah, the bracket, the link to the PDF to fill it out, because if you can't tell, the blue fields are editable fields in the PDF, so everybody will just be able to fill it out, save it with their name on it, and send it in.
Here's my question for you, and I guess this is more of a logistical question. How are we keeping track of brackets? Are we keeping track of scores?
Sure are. Yep.
How are we gonna do that if it's PDF form?
Oh, no. So you send in the PDFs we'll just have it sent to the help email like we always do. And then I will have a repository of everybody's bracket. As we're going through the tournament, I will be like scoring all the brackets for you.
Manually.
Yeah.
Man.
He'll print them out.
I will not be printing them out because I will not kill a tree or 6.
Man.
If Hat
alright.
if Hat can develop a sheet for me, we'll
But
let
the
him take a crack
visual
at it.
was so much funnier if you were printing it out and using like a Sharpie to mark each individual
It's
graph.
it's very possible. It's very possible that that will be actually what happens, or a virtual Sharpie. But so the scoring of the brackets, if anybody's been in a March Madness pool before, it's you get a point for getting the first round, like a matchup in the first round, correct. And so for for every matchup you don't get correct is a player that is not advancing in your bracket, which makes fewer and fewer games as you go on that you can possibly pick from. So first round's worth 1 point, second round's worth 2, third round's worth 4, etc. Just keeps doubling up until you get to the finals, which is worth 32 points. So picking the winner is very valuable, but you got to get enough players right before that to win the bracket challenge. So so we'll see what Hat has in store for us, but
I feel confident we can come up with some way to automate this, considering that you already computed the average seed for everyone manually.
no,
instead of using, like,
I
the
told you
I
not
automation.
to
think
say
I
that out
think
loud.
I think Icicles just volunteered it himself there by proposing a good solution.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
All right.
we'll figure it out.
He's right. Yep. So okay. So yeah. So we can get a master list going. I like it. We'll figure this out.
Great idea. Take charge.
Take
Delete,
charge.
delete. All right. So let's move on to the second region here, which is going to be the Sylvanas region, the former name of the Last Hero Standing series. So if you're starting to sense a theme here on the regions, we're gonna, we see you. So here's your next 16. Yeah, Sage, chill out, bro.
Ooh.
So we've got at the top the 1 versus 16 is Liquidox versus Bitbeaker, Berserk versus Hockey Boys, which is just nuts in the 8-9. Sanguine versus Lesmos, 5-12. Your boy versus your other boy, BOOZASAURUS. This was like this was what we talked about.
Again, not planned.
Booze got adjusted slightly at the last second, as did I, and I had to confirm with everybody that they really wanted this to be where it needed to be because
Oh yeah.
because I was like, this is going to be hilarious. But yeah, it's the two of us playing each other in the first round. Avi's playing Chewbacca, the 3 versus the 14. Solo Jazz at the 6 versus the Big Ted at 11. Disco at 7 versus Osmonaut at 10. And Honest Zabe at 2 versus Quaz at 15. So that's another. I mean, we're going to see it in every region here, but there are just some real heavyweight matchups in the first round, and then it's only going to get better as we get deeper into the tournament. But Booze. I'm sorry again that this happened.
No, it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun, yeah. I'm excited. I think this should be a lot of fun. But I hope it doesn't end in the first round for me because it ended in the World Cup for me in the group stage, and I can't have that again.
We'll see.
Oh, okay. He's just gonna play it coy. All right. Mako, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on this portion of the bracket?
I want to point out that we do have a big game hunter at 16 versus a 1 seed.
He did it once.
He did it once.
This is the biggest game he'll hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want that Donde Booze matchup on the stream. That's the only thing.
Oh, I mean, we can make that happen.
We can make it happen. We can make it happen.
You should definitely make it happen.
Also, Booze is gonna win that because Donde's overseeded.
Listen.
Anyways, what's up?
Well,
You
I think you had him at 64, right? Was that
I did.
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah, it was gonna. It was gonna be tough. It was gonna be tough to be in a reasonable spot after you had me so low.
Hey, you want to turn us up?
Yeah, I'll get you guys turned. Let's let Markshire talk about this while we get you guys going here, because everyone can hear him apparently.
Yeah, this I feel like more than in the other bracket, the top seeds are really strong here. Looking at potential upsets, 8-9 is never really like a true upset in my eyes, but I think that Hockey has a very solid chance against Berserk. I definitely know more about Hockey than I do about Berserk, but I know Hockey loves to theorycraft, loves to come up with new deck ideas. I'm sure he's going to come through with a good lineup. And then aside from that, possibly Lesmos against Sanguine, I can see happening. The 5-12 is another classic. Like, you almost always see one of those upsets in March Madness every year. So I would say that could be where it is. But yeah, definitely tough. Just a lot of real heavy hitters in this bracket.
Yeah, I got to play Berserk in the finals of Pro, so I know he's just rock solid. Can't make mistakes against him. But hockey, very good player historically. I can't say that this with confidence will go either way specifically, but yeah, that Sanguine versus Lesmos is interesting. Like you said, 5-12 historically. There's a upset somewhere. Base thinks Quaz has taken down Zave. I want you to put that in your bracket.
Yeah.
I need that in the bracket.
I'm pinging it in the Galacronies Discord. Don't you worry.
Yeah, clip that. Whatever you need to do, go ahead.
I'm pinning it.
My upset pick is actually Osmonaut versus Disco. Again,
Okay.
10-7, not a humongous disparity there, but Oz is one of those players that he beats anybody. Doesn't matter what seed, doesn't matter what PR, he's capable. So I would say that that's a good possibility there. Yeah.
I'm seeing 4 potential upsets here. Honestly, I feel like this one has a lot of potential this side of the bracket. I think if I had to choose one, I'm going to go Lesmos over Sanguine. I think both of those players are very good, but I could see that going the other way. I think they're like comparable players more than some of the other matchups here. But then you look at like you against Booze, I think that one's going to be close. Solo Jazz against Ted, like that one I could see going the other way too. And then Disco Osmonaut, the one that you said, I also agree. Like I could see that one going the other way, pretty conceivably.
All right, Mako, what about you?
I was the first one to talk.
What? No, Booze was the first one to talk. That's an absolute lie. Because I threw it over to Booze.
Nope.
Mako was just too quiet. You didn't hear him.
Yeah. I talked about Beaker and Liquidonks because he won BGH, and I talked about you and Booze. Yeah, this is the second time around, so I'm prepared for this to happen again for the third time.
Now, just for like consistency's sake, we have to do this every time.
Yeah,
we do.
All right.
I'll go first and just run back around to me.
I think Booze gave his though. So.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Not.
All right, Booze.
So personally, I think I'm gonna upset you.
Of course you are.
Just a little bit of bias.
No, that's not bias. It's just confidence in yourself.
I want to point out that there are 4 Beard Boys in this top right bracket. So either way, if any of the Beard Boys end up winning out and going through the bracket, it's going to be taking down other Beard Boys at some point, likely. So that being said, I think kind of some of the upsets are Hockey over Berserk. Obviously, that one is pretty close. I don't know if it's necessarily an upset. I think Lesmos over Sanguine, me over Donde. And then, yeah, I think Ted could also beat Solo Jazz, as I said before, but I think other than that, kind of think it goes from there.
All right. Well, let's move on to the third portion of the bracket. We're gonna have to remove the left portion from the screen. It'll be back, but in order for me to hide the final portion of the bracket, it requires a little finagling. So this is gonna be the mysterious challenger region.
Ooh, mysterious.
Yeah. Who is he? It's none of your business.
Wow.
Ron Mexico versus It's Me Mike V in the 116. Eggo Waffle versus Dabs 8-9. Huge matchup. Typhoon versus Valdis 5-12. Lemons versus Dragon Rider in the 4 and the 13. Coles versus Kurafinwi 3 and the 14. Catman versus Mako at 6-11. Lotus Knight versus Brick is 7-10, and then Rebobson down at the 2 versus Electabuzz at the 15. Tris says I got the easy bracket. He's not. He hasn't been revealed yet.
We'll see about that.
Thank God I dodged Sage. You did dodge Sage. It's true. Sage is not playing you, Ron Mexico, in round 1, so I think you might be safe at least until you see Sage at some point.
Play Eggo or Dad, so that'll be fun.
So, Mako, I'll just throw it to you and let you lead off like you always do.
All right. Let me take a look at this. What happened to the top left one? It disappeared.
Were you not listening?
Oh, you're doing this back and forth. What is this?
All right, so
opposite way.
Oh my God.
So here's what I'm gonna say. The last time I remember playing Catman, I probably played him since then. But the last time I remember playing Catman, he was a 550 PR1 seed, and I subbed in at 1 seed, and I beat him. And in that same exact week, I lost to a 50 PR seed, or player. So that's what I remember about playing as Catman. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it that I will be the upset in this bracket. Yeah, it's me, not Mike V.
All right.
Oh my god.
So, Markshire, what do you think about this bracket? Where's your upset coming from?
Man, I'm looking at this and I think I'm gonna have to pick the same ups. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Mako over Catman. Both very strong players, but I mean, with a lot of these other ones, we've got the 8 and the 9, which is like usually a good pick for an upset, and Dabs is a great. But I mean, Ego Waffle coming off the Testbook Championship, didn't have had a good THL season, but not as good as quite like the other seeds above him. But I know he's still a very strong player. It's hard to see him dropping that one. Of course, anything can happen, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Mako.
All right, Booze.
So while I really want to go with Mako as I'm going to pick something a little bit different just to kind of spice it up. I think Brick is going to beat Lotus Knight.
Ooh, okay, that's not what I expected you to say, but I
Okay.
like the spice there.
So Lotus Knight, even though I know he's a good player and he's one of my friends in THL, I played against Brick this season, and Brick is a very strong player himself. I think the 10 seed may kind of be lower than where I personally think he should be. And with that being said, I think it will be a very close and fun match to watch.
All right, Mayanadon, are you going to pick my upset?
I'm gonna do my best, I guess. There are quite a few here that I think are gonna be really really tight matches. The Egg and Waffle Dabs one, I see people talking about in chat. I agree that one's gonna be super close. I don't think we can consider that an upset if it goes either way though. So I guess based on seeding, my upset would probably be Dragon Rider over.
You sure did.
I stole it. Nice. I think both players are great. Lemons had an insane season. In I think it was just Legacy, I believe, was the
Yep.
one series, and Dragon Rider I think also played just in Legacy. But I've seen Dragon Rider in previous seasons, and just in general, really really great player. I don't think she played her best season this season, and why her seed is a little bit lower. So I think that is going to be a really really close match.
Yeah, I mean, you took it right out of my mouth, basically. I think Lemons had a fantastic season, and nothing can be possibly taken away from that. But Dragon Rider, historically, is a very, very solid player, and much better than the 13 seed she ended up at. So, yeah, I would say Dragon Rider is my pick here in this bracket, or part of the bracket, to be the upset. But everybody knows that I'm pulling so hard for Kura Finwee to knock Coles out in round one. Like, if I could make anything happen, it would be that. No offense, Coles, love you, bud, but man, do I want to see that happen. So, all right. So now everybody who is not seeded into the bracket now knows that they are in this region, the Swinal region. And so you might be saying to yourself, hey, THL has only had three named historical series, and we've used them all. So what are we going to do here?
Guys? He's not in here.
He's not in here? Oh, man.
He's not in here.
Okay.
I'll let him know.
He'll throw it. We threw Yellow Dart a bone. We gave him the Leroy, the Leroy Jenkins region. And he's either going to be so excited that he just like passes out and doesn't win and like gets knocked out in the first round, or he's going to just be invigorated and charge his way through to the final four. It's not the Diamond region, sorry, Diamond's the Leroy region. La region. So Lil Harthy versus Super Murloc in the 116, Inzi versus F. Srirachi in the 8-9, Bill Snyder versus Sage in the 5 and the 12, your Mumked at 4 versus Skittles in the 13, Icicles versus Based Ink 3 and 14, Yellow Dart at 6 versus Triss at 11, Zeroshio at 7 versus Medusas at 10, and R-Hat at 2 versus Matty Ebbs at 15. So this is another fun region of the bracket. A lot of potential upsets here. I mean, so we've joked and we talked about the 12-5 being, historically there is a spot where in everybody's bracket every season where there's an upset that just ruins everybody. Is Sage versus Bill Snyder that one this time around?
I don't think so.
I don't know. It's close because I don't know.
I think
I
there's
personally
another
don't
one
think
here.
so. Yeah, I think there are other ones in here that can be a little bit more likely. While I love Sage, Bill has just had a crazy season and
He
just
really
kind of
has.
going on a tear. So I don't know if Bill is really gonna lose at any point soon.
Triss
That
versus Yellow Dart. That's what I'm looking at.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that one or Skittles versus your bum kid. Those are the two that I'm looking at right now.
I mean, I can see
I
a
was
case
gonna
for
say
pretty much all
Skittles.
these players.
Okay. This is definitely one where I can see a lot more upsets happening. Skittles, I think, kind of had a down season this season compared to how he usually does. And your mom did really well, but I think was another one of those players that did like really well in one series, but then kind of not so great in another. I'll try to pull it up. No, they went 3-4 in Legacy, but 8-3 in Pros. Definitely a much stronger showing in Pro, but that's one I could potentially see Skittles take.
Yeah, I think it's funny you guys are talking about which region is the bracket buster. I think when you've got a tournament like this, it's a little different than NCAA basketball, where some teams make it and you just know that they're just happy to be there. Like they just have almost no shot at beating like a Kentucky or a Duke or something like that. But every player in here is capable of winning at any given match. I have like no doubts that we're looking at Super Murloc at 16 versus Lil Harthy, who had an insane season of his own. Which is not to say that Super Murloc is not capable, because we know he can certainly win. But yeah, Booze, what do you think here? What's your big upset? Or you already said
So
your upset.
I was gonna say I don't know if it's necessarily big, but I think Triss beats Yellow Dart.
Yeah.
There's also this one's kind of big. I think Based beats Icicles as well.
All right.
Ooh.
That one's actually
Okay.
I wouldn't hold that as kind of big. That's based on the seed and everything. That's a
Yeah,
big
that one
upset.
is big. So after having played a season with Based and kind of talking with her in the off season as well,
Just because you
especially in
beat
these first few days.
He's beatable.
I did beat
He
Icicles on ladder.
bleeds.
But that's not why. I'm just playing with Base the whole season and then kind of seeing her and how she's handling this new meta of all things as well. I'm just kind of seeing her adapt and how she's playing. Still at a top level in my opinion, even though her record last season didn't show it. I think she definitely has a chance to upset Icicles.
All right, Mako.
That's me.
That is you.
I don't know if you're doing this on purpose or not, but I was the first one to talk.
I did on purpose.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I'm just giving the people what they want at this point. I think
Tradition, man. It's tradition.
I think everybody except maybe Markshire has spoken so far on this region.
I said your mom could. And
I've lost
Skittles,
track. I've lost track of everything, and the
That's-
show is a
yeah.
complete disaster. So, all right. So this is the bracket. This is everybody, all 64 players. So from here, here's what happens. This is the basic schedule from here. We are going to get everything into Battlefy. So you're going to have a Battlefy account. We'll invite you up, get it all seated up, and then you will have essentially a couple days to set your decks in Battlefy. Best of 5, single elimination. You said single deck submission, but single elimination, open deck list. You will have the one ban, so it's essentially exactly like Pro Series was this season, but in the new meta. All the banning will be done right in Battlefy. If you haven't done it before, it's very easy. You just go in there, you select the ban right on the matchup screen, so you don't have to do anything with like submission spreadsheets or anything like that. So we're going to have that set up by Monday, and then everyone will have until Thursday to submit their lists. You get signed up, submit your lists, everything will lock in place. Thursday will also be the cutoff. Thursday night will be the cutoff for getting your bracket in for the bracket challenge as well. So everybody, to make sure everyone's on the even footing, you have to submit your bracket before you can see everyone's deck lists. Because I know a lot of people would wait until the very last second and then submit their bracket once they have that information. So that's how that's going to work. That's our plan from here on out. And we are going to try to have... Shut up, Mako. He's just gonna keep spamming that. I know he is, but so that's that's the basic plan going forward, and we're gonna try to get as much of this on stream as possible. Try to have teams every night if we can. So anybody who wants to cast, anybody who is available, if you're not playing a match, please let me know. We are going to try to keep this on a rolling 3-day schedule. So ideally, if you can play at least like one match every 3 days, if you can play more frequently than that, great. If not, we just want to try to have this as done or as close to done as possible by the time the next season starts, which is the 27th. So there's one thing that we have not yet talked about, and that is the prizes. So we've got prizes for this tournament, of course. That's not no stream. What are you doing? Stop.
We're back to the bracket.
And
surprise.
We're back to us.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Yes, prize pool. We want to talk about the prize pool. So there are two ways to win prizes here, and they are finishing the tournament very highly, or winning the bracket challenge. So nobody has to pay. This is completely all on the house, using Twitch funds and whatnot. So nobody has to put anything in. If you're in or you don't want to submit a bracket, it is completely free to do so. Yes, good luck and most importantly, have fun. Please do that. You do not win actual money, Diamond. We're not giving actual money away. We're giving packs away because that is how we do. And here is the prize pool. So first place is going to get 22 packs, second place 15, third place 7, and fourth place 2. The packs you want are up to you. I mean, if you don't want the newest expansion, that's fine. We'll give you whatever you want, but I would wager most people are going to want the expansion.
Just don't have me send them out, please.
Yeah, Mako and I have both made the mistake of sending somebody the wrong packs. Mine was Mayanadon, actually. I sent you like the previous expansions pack, and you were gracious enough to not be mad at me, which I still appreciate to this day.
No problem, man.
So the winner of the bracket challenge will get 7 packs. And I said this at the very beginning of the season, and it just like never happens. It's such a rare occurrence that I'm confident enough that if anybody gets a 100% perfect bracket, I will buy your next expansion. And not the small one, the big one. Whatever the mega bundle is, $80, whatever it happens to be, I will buy your expansion.
I'll buy the small one.
All right.
You get 100%. He'll buy the big. I'll buy the small one. Are you kidding me?
So you're gonna be flush with packs next expansion. So there's literally no reason not to submit a bracket and submit the best bracket possible, because if you do, you basically are winning like $140. So try it out.
Yeah.
I'm confident nobody will get there. If I get the perfect bracket, I mean, I was gonna buy the expansion for myself anyway, so I guess that's cool. But yeah. So these are the prizes, and that's it. So, guys, what do you think about the prizes? About anybody got questions? Anybody want to ask anything? We got a couple more minutes here.
I completely forgot about the buying the next expansion thing, so when I saw it threw me off guard.
I even wrote it down in my blog post too, so I really have to like fully commit to it, and that's fine. Isocles, I will print the perfect bracket out and put it on my wall behind me, where the fantasy draft board was that has now fallen down because gravity happened. So, yeah, it literally ripped. So yeah.
Did we tell them the date for when the brackets need to be submitted by?
Yes.
Yes, that was touched on.
So Diamond is asking exactly what the bracket challenge means.
So what the bracket challenge means is that the bracket that I posted is going to be submitted or sent out to everybody in a PDF form, and you just go ahead and fill in the winner of each match. And so once you've filled out the entire first round, you continue down the line until you have filled out the entire bracket all the way up to the championship match. And you don't have to fill out the third versus the fourth place game, but it's just all the matches. All the way to the championship, and you get a point for every match you get correct in the first round, 2 for every match in the second round, 4 for every match in the third round, etc. And whoever has the most points wins. So whoever calls most of the bracket accurately is the winner, just like the actual NCAA tournament. I think it is much harder to pick than the NCAA bracket. Like we were saying, there are some teams that you look at the first round, you're just like, man, this team is going to lose by 50 points. And I don't see a lot of that in this bracket, so it should be a lot of very, very close matchups.
Wait, are you saying it's harder to pick for the NCAA bracket?
No.
This
Harder
is
to pick this.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yes.
Yeah, DeSharmo has. I didn't know it was quintillion specifically. I knew it was some absurdly high number. But yeah, 1 in 9.2 quintillion. I think there's been like a thing every year for like the last like multiple decades that ESPN posts like, hey, we'll give you like $5 million if you get the perfect bracket. And I think people have gotten close, but I don't think anyone's ever actually made an entire bracket correct.
Yeah, I think it might even be more than that. I think there's like people that like sponsor things. If you get a perfect bracket, that's like either a million, like millions of dollars, and it just doesn't. So,
Yeah, it's such a
um,
safe investment. Like
yeah.
it's like
So
I
Donde,
You
yeah,
can say you'll
your
do
money's safe.
anything, it won't happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could have said I'll buy the expansion for every single person in this tournament, and I still would feel comfortable making that bet.
Who do you think is going to be the first person to not ban Demon Hunter?
I guess the first person who plays against someone who didn't bring Demon Hunter.
Well, I guess we know who's winning that matchup.
I mean,
I don't know.
I think Demon Hunter is still very good, but I think there are strategies that could be forming in the next week and a half that don't involve Demon
Yeah,
Hunter.
like there's a whole week
Yeah.
and a half. It's been 3 days since the expansion release. Well, 4 technically. It's just there's definitely a lot of room for improvement with lineup building
Right.
by the time lineups are due.
Yeah, we have 7 more days. 7 more days, which means an entire weekend of Masters qualifiers in every region. So I'm sure people can go ahead and start, picking apart those lineups. I know they were only best of 3 instead of best of 5, but they can give you an idea of what's performing well in Conquest format. So I'm sure people will be very, very, very much involved in paying attention to the tournament meta over the next week. Pasca, I'm sure, will put out some fantastic No Pros Here tournament meta article stuff that everyone should probably read to see what's in the box.
Base asks what if nerfs go live next week.
If nerfs, so we hadn't discussed this because we were fortunate enough that nerfs went live this week. If nerfs go live next week and you have already submitted and it's before the submission deadline, then we'll wipe it and let you resubmit. But if nerfs go live at any point during this tournament, we're going to have to roll with what we've got.
Yeah,
So-
that wouldn't be fair to competition.
So I guess like keep that in mind if you're bringing Demon Hunter, which is, again, not a bad decision. And I mean, obviously there could be cards hit from any class. So yeah, I think we're sticking with what you submit. If you get nerfed, that's part of the deal. So we just kind of gotta accept it, I guess. So if there's another balance patch late this week, then that's fine because that will be before the tournament starts. If they release it on like Thursday, then we can push the submission date back to Friday. That's not a problem. Give everybody an extra day. And yeah, it's not you do not submit lists before every match. You submit lists at the beginning of the tournament, and you will run through the entire tournament with the same lineup. So, all right. Well, this is a lot of fun, excitement, intrigue, if you will. Ooh.
Intrigue.
Intrigue.
Betrayal. Deception.
I don't know how much betrayal there was. There's certainly deception.
I don't know. I'm just
There was certainly deception.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun. This was, I love looking through stats, so that's just kind of stuff that I would do on my own anyway. But to talk with you guys about it over the last like week and a half, and to pick each other's brains, and for some reason have like 3 hour voice calls too, because we're crazy.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a ton of fun just to figure out what we all thought. Spent more time than I expected to this week trying to figure out seeds and stuff, but it was definitely enjoyable, and it's going to be even more fun to make my bracket, which I have not yet. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Big Ted, yes, we will try to be streaming. We'll stream every night in some capacity for this, even if it's we'll try to get as many matches on stream as possible. But I'm planning on personally just going live and having like a Sports Center type show where I talk about the matches that happened the day prior. If we can get guests on from those matches, then great. Do some interviews, whatever we can. So we'll try to stream every night as much as possible. So yeah, if you're a stream up, please let me know when you're available because we're going to try to. That's the next phase of this is planning how it gets rolled out over the next week here. How are the point system for the bracket? Yep, it's 1 point for round 1, 2 points for round 2, etc. We're transitioning the weekly shows to casting matches. Obviously, all of us here are also playing in the tournament, so there'll be times when we're going to be playing and not able to cast, but we'll try to, we'll make something work as much as we possibly can. Yeah, stream ops, we need them all. All hands on deck. JR, appreciate that. We'll definitely need extra casters. I'm sure everybody will not be available every night, so yeah, we'll try to get as many people involved as we possibly can. Cool.
Yeah,
So
this is gonna be fun.
yeah,
It's gonna be super fun.
Yeah, so this is kind of nice to get this next week to, let it kind of simmer and let everybody really take stock of what's about to go down. And I expect there to be a flurry of games in the first weekend, Friday into Sunday next week. So as people are excited and just trying to play as many matches as possible, I think we'll probably get through a good chunk of the bracket pretty quickly. So that's it. Thank you, Booze, Markshire, Mayanadon, and Mako, 2 boards. I don't know. I know, and I'm playing the Final Fantasy VII remake right now, and they say Mako, but in my head it was Mako as a kid, so it's like my whole world is coming to a complete,
You're a shark kid.
the Mako is the vehicle from Mass Effect as well, so.
That's true. It was only the first one though.
Yeah.
Also a type of shark.
Also a type of shark.
I think that's the one that confuses people the most.
Yeah, the vehicle looks like a shark. I think that's where the whole thing came from. So, like a land shark. So yeah. Thanks guys for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all the hard work this last week. And yeah. So if there's any other questions, feel free to hit me up in Discord, and I'll help out with that. But other than that, we're good to go. We'll see you guys next week.
I've already made a channel if people are wanting to start this.
Oh, see, this is why TwoStarMako is TwoStarMako.
Wow.
TwoStarMako.
TwoStarMako.
As long as he cares more about this series than his other one, that's all I care about. So.
His other L word.
his League of Series board.
He did make more money in that other series this season than this one.
Yeah, I've made money over there already. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, you can make some packs over here.
Yeah, you could. You could win some packs now.
Just if you win packs, don't let me send them because you'll get Saviors of Doom packs.
He's gonna give you like Boomsday. He's gonna give you something that rotated. Hope you like Wild, which they might. We got a lot of people that like Wild, so.
Hope you're a Grand Tournament fan.
Oh no, the worst expansion.
Just a car, yes.
Oh god, I got 2 legendaries from that expansion. That was the first new expansion I was around for, and my 2 legendaries were Confessor Paletris and Confessor Paletris. Thanks, Duplicate Protection. Oh man.
One of my buddies opened up like 3 variant Rins. Ghost opened up 2 Bolfs. The Duplicate Protection definitely.
He wasn't 7 Bolf Ramshield guy.
No, he was 2 or 3.
That's one of the best videos of all time.
It is. I completely agree. For those who have not checked it out, I would highly recommend watching the 7 Bolf Ramshield video.
It gets posted on Reddit like every new expansion season, but I watch it literally every time I see it posted because I laugh hysterically the entire time. Oh man. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for joining us. Good luck in the tournament and good luck on your brackets. And we will see you next Friday, most likely. If anyone's looking to play the first night of the tournament, let me know. But good luck. Thanks again. Good night.